The set caught on fire one weekend when no one was there.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're looking at some of the most harrowing film production incidents that ended in tragedy.
People have tried to say it was haunted. I don't know about that. But there definitely was some bad vibes on this set.
Titanic was a critical and commercial phenomenon, but filming was hardly smooth sailing.
Certainly there are things that can go wrong. If they do go wrong, it's not going to matter anyway, and it's going to happen so quickly that you're not going to even know it happened, probably.
Production faced a storm of issues, from director James Cameron's scary intensity, multiple injuries, and even a suspected poisoning. Kate Winslet, who once called the experience an ordeal, reportedly sustained bruises, a chipped elbow, and hypothermia. During the sinking scene, the actress nearly drowned from a rushing wall of water. One chaotic set incident reportedly left a stuntman with a broken ankle, and another with fractured ribs. At one point, a suspected crew member allegedly laced food with PCP, hospitalizing more than 50 people.
That's when 80 crew members, McAvoy included, unknowingly ate drug-tainted lobster chowder on set.
You know, it was kind of like very dreamy, very surreal. I was still functioning. I wasn't, nauseous or anything like that. But it seemed like it affected people in many, many different ways.
Despite the criticism, Cameron had expressed no regrets, simply stating, "I'm demanding, and I'm demanding on my crew."
All right, so how much time? The whole room stops while you think. Okay? You don't know.
Maze Runner, The Death Cure. Young adult movie installments typically release a year or two apart. However, the final chapter in the Maze Runner trilogy arrived 3 years after its predecessor, a delay that was never planned.
Action! The car's going crazy, and then boom, it flips!
The extended gap was due to a major injury to lead star Dylan O'Brien. Just days into filming, O'Brien was hospitalized after a botched stunt caused him to be struck by a vehicle.
On the accident, he also added that many people who witnessed it may have thought that was it.
The injuries he sustained were life-threatening, requiring facial reconstructive surgery and treatment for brain trauma. O'Brien's near-fatal accident delayed production by a year, forcing the film to miss its planned release date. The actor considers himself lucky to have survived, though the emotional trauma made him briefly consider leaving his career behind.
It wasn't easy, it was horrible. It was a very scary thing. But we came back, all got together again a year later. It was like we never left.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Bringing cinematic action to life, stunt performers truly are the unsung heroes of filmmaking. Unfortunately, even the slightest error can have catastrophic consequences, something David Holmes experienced firsthand.
You are such a force when it comes to staying present, making the most of every single moment.
Yeah, I think my situation reminds me that, to live in the now, you can't not.
While doubling for Daniel Radcliffe, Holmes was harnessed to a cable designed to pull him backward. However, the miscalibrated cable yanked him with extreme force, slamming Holmes into a wall. Though he was rushed to the hospital, the extent of his injuries was irreversible. Damage to his spine resulted in lifelong paralysis.
I can't listen back to him. That's as emotionally triggering as trying to watch my accident of me breaking my neck. It's pretty dark,
Holmes has remained active in the industry despite the tragic end to his career, with his inspiring journey chronicled in the documentary David Holmes, The Boy Who Lived.
Such highs and such lows, but was able to find light in the darkest of places.
A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Sometimes accidents happen, and despite the heartbreak, it's important to remember that no one is at fault. Emmy award-winning sound mixer James MsMojo lost his life after a series of unfortunate circumstances on set.
This is the apartment building where this tragic accident happened on Shady Drive East here in Mount Lebanon, and Tom Hanks was actually on set when this accident happened. Now,
during a break, MsMojo collapsed from a heart attack while leaning on a balcony, falling 2 stories to the ground.
After he suffered an apparent medical emergency and fell 2 stories off a balcony.
The incident, witnessed by crew members and passers-by, caused significant confusion for days until further details emerged. Ultimately, MsMojo was in the wrong place at the wrong time, but that doesn't diminish the impact his loss has left behind.
Jim was my best friend. My best friend, my husband, my lover, my partner in life. A loss for me, I can't put that into words.
The Bodyguard. Defying poor critical reception, The Bodyguard was a runway hit, grossing over $400 million and cementing Whitney Houston as a pop culture sensation. Sadly, behind all its success lies a devastating tragedy. Midway through production, a fatal mishap claimed the life of grip truck driver William Vitaliano while transporting lighting equipment for an underground parking scene. A malfunction caused 2 cranes to collide with Vitaliano. Despite receiving urgent medical attention, his injuries were too severe to overcome. Warner Bros. Settled the ensuing lawsuit with the equipment manufacturers out of court, but the knowledge of Vitaliano's untimely demise casts a permanent shadow over what was otherwise a blockbuster film.
Yeah, well, let's get this over with, okay? Give me a kiss.
Goodbye, Rachel.
The Exorcist. Not only is this classic scary to watch, it was a nightmare to make. The Exorcist was plagued by eerie incidents and unexplained events. Shortly after filming began, a bird flew into a circuit box, sparking a fire that destroyed much of the set, except the room reserved for Reagan's exorcism.
I remember that was terrible. Shut down. I think it shut us down for about 6 weeks.
They couldn't find an electrical problem. They couldn't find an arsonist. They couldn't find any substantial reason that occurred.
Later, 2 crew members were involved in serious accidents, one losing a thumb and another a toe. The punishing shoot took a toll on its stars.
Just through attrition, I think there was 3 or 4 people died.
There were a couple of unfortunate deaths during the filming.
There were 9 deaths, which is an enormous amount of deaths.
Linda Blair developed scoliosis from a spinal fracture, while Ellen Burstyn sustained a back injury she still refers to as her permanent companion.
But I'm telling you, I could get hurt. And the stuntman was standing there listening to this, and Billy said to him, "Okay, don't pull her so hard." But as I turned away, I felt them exchange a look.
And he said, "Give it to her this time."
Director William Friedkin has acknowledged how dangerous the set had become, expressing regret at threatening the sanity of then 12-year-old Blair.
That's the footage I use in the movie where I'm crying my eyes out because they are brutally damaging my back.
Top Gun. With awe-inspiring aerial stunts, this high-flying action drama never fails to wow its audience. But that commitment to realism came with a cost. The life of aerobatic pilot Art Scholl.
This is Art Scholl, teacher, designer, sometime actor, and professional stunt pilot. Driven by one consuming ambition, to be the world's aerobatic champion. This is his story.
While conducting in-flight camera shots, Scholl descended for a flat spin maneuver, a move he'd executed many times before. However, something went wrong this time, a mystery that remains unsolved decades later.
Altitude 8,000, 7,000, 6, we're at 6, man!
As the plane spun past recovery altitude, Scholl radioed his last words, claiming, "I have a real problem." Moments later, the aircraft crashed into the ocean. Despite search efforts, Scholl's body has never been recovered.
Don't let him pull away. Throttle back a little, Skip. Okay?
Flying air shows and exhibitions isn't enough for me. I feel I must show that I'm capable of competing with the best pilots flying aerobatics.
The Crow.
Died a year ago, the moment he touched her. They're all dead. They just don't know it yet.
Among the most infamous tragedies in film history, Brandon Lee's life was cut short at just 28 years old. A gun loaded with blanks had a live bullet lodged in the barrel from a previous scene. When fired, the force of the blank launched the bullet at Lee, striking him in the abdomen. The crew, unaware of Lee's critical condition, failed to realize that he was gravely wounded. Despite undergoing a 6-hour emergency surgery, Lee ultimately succumbed to his injuries.
The gun he was using was supposed to be loaded with blanks. When the cameras rolled, Brandon Lee was performing for the last time.
And he was in, critical condition. Somehow at that point, I don't know, I've got chills right down my spine, and I felt that he's not going to make it.
His mother filed a lawsuit against the film's producers, which was settled out of court. While The Crow remains widely celebrated as his most iconic role, Lee's passing forced the industry to address on-set safety regulations.
We expect that a young life will not be wasted in vain, and I give the responsibility to the entertainment industry to assure us that it will not happen again.
Linda, sending a call to action as detectives, discovered the deadly dominoes behind Brandon's death.
Rust. This incident sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, sparking major conversations over unsafe working conditions. A series of missteps by the film's production team cost cinematographer Helina Hutchins her life.
Helina was going to shoot a film called Rust. She went out and never came back.
Alec Baldwin was handed a gun by first assistant director David Halls, unaware it contained a live round. When discharged, the shot struck Hutchins and director Joel Souza. The latter survived with an arm injury, but Hutchins' wounds proved fatal.
Alec Baldwin, were you in the room when the lady went? I was with the gun, yeah.
The ensuing lawsuit held Halls and armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed responsible.
A New Mexico jury found Hannah Gutierrez-Reed guilty of the death of Helina Hutchins.
Charges against Baldwin were eventually dropped. Hutchins' passing sparked widespread condemnation, reigniting calls for gun safety reforms in the industry.
In the end, justice won't bring Helina back, but maybe the memory of her can help keep people safe and prevent something like this from ever happening again.
In another grim turn, crew member Jason Miller was hospitalized after a venomous spider bite, requiring multiple surgeries to save his arm. Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. The Hangover Part 2. A high-speed collision left stuntman Scott McLean in a medically induced coma.
I would never ask a guy to do what has happened to me.
How soon do you want to get back to work?
As soon as I can.
Resident Evil, the final chapter. Stuntwoman Olivia Jackson lost her arm and endured traumatic injuries after colliding with a camera crane.
Now she and her attorneys are calling for change in Hollywood, hoping her loss will prevent others from experiencing tragedy.
I'd love to make everybody aware of these situations like this, so that they can take better care of themselves again, so that it doesn't happen again.
Triple X. Stunt double Harry O'Connor passed away after a botched parasailing incident.
Harry O'Connor, our aerial stunt coordinator and stuntman, doing this stunt here.
Blade Runner 2049. A set collapse claimed the life of a construction worker.
The worker was underneath the platform upon which the set was constructed when it suddenly collapsed, the studio said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter.
The Dark Knight. Stuntman Conway Wycliffe passed away during a stunt involving Batman's Tumblermobile.
Look out.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Twilight Zone, the movie. In one of the most high-profile disasters in Hollywood history, actor Vic Morrow and two illegally hired young performers lost their lives.
In California, they were filming a war movie today when suddenly a helicopter carrying a camera crew crashed right in the middle of the action.
Director John Landis ignored multiple labor laws, allowing underage actors to work at night in unsafe conditions. A scene involving a low-flying helicopter had catastrophic consequences when the miscalculated explosion sent it plummeting onto 3 performers.
Dorsey Wingo, who was the pilot, at first said that he didn't think he wanted to view them, but then decided that only by watching the films could he learn exactly what caused the helicopter to crash.
The horrific incident triggered a decade-long legal battle, culminating in a controversial acquittal for Landis and others involved. The tragedy led to sweeping reforms, including stricter union rules on set safety protocols and heavy penalties for breaking child labour laws. Sadly, no law on reform can ever undo the terrible loss of life that occurred that night.
As far as I know, isn't this trial unprecedented in this sort of thing, and people being held accountable for the deaths of performers?
I think it's the first time.
Yeah.
That I know. That a director is this, especially.
Yeah. Did any of you wipe your brow like this when this happened and think this could have happened to anyone?
Is there an accident that resonated with you? Let us know in the comments.